Hello, Super Leaguers. It's Ryan here. It's Wednesday night. It's the Super League, and yeah, and we are live. Hello. The Phoenix here, Mr. Two-Time, and I'm delighted to say, absolutely honoured to say, I'm joined by another Mr. Two-Time, the reigning, defending Super League champion, Mr. Ian Edwards. Good evening, Ian. How you doing?
Hi, mate. I'm good, thank you. Yeah, thanks for that nice little intro. Yeah, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, there's a little bit of it. As you've probably seen in the private message, just a little bit carnage tonight. There's kind of some unexpected visitors kind of took my admin time away from me, so I've just been kind of panicking, getting everything done. Evening to everyone in the chat.
Always just before kick-off, innit? It's always the way I've just had to do similar.
Yeah, evening. Evening to Dimble, evening to Duggan. Mr. Megahorse is in the chat. Anyone else is there? Please say hi. Makes me feel warm inside when there's people talking away in the chat. Ian, I probably picked a very, very rare night, mate. You're on comms after a defeat. What went wrong on Sunday?
Everything, I guess. I mean, it's the first bad game Kiotis has put in at all this season. He's been brilliant for me for 2 solid seasons now. But even having said that, they had the best of it, almost everything. I mean, I always say, I want more shots and I want more tackles. I only got one of those. They outshot us. And when you combine that with a meltdown from your keeper, it's going to happen. But they're a good team, a good manager. You know, they've had a strange season. Gazelles have been a bit like dragons in as much as they've had to just like fight fires all season, whether it's been red cards or injuries or whatever. They've not really had a chance to get going, and I think they've just last couple of weeks they look like they've maybe got going with a bit of consistency and a bit of tweaking and that.
Yeah, I would definitely tend to agree with you there. I think considering what he's had to deal with in terms of disciplinary records, I think he's done an absolutely unbelievable job. I don't think, and this is my view of Champ. Obviously, it's not universally agreed. That's why we all have different values of different players. But I don't think he's got one of the top squads. Right,
No.
I think he's got some decent players in there, but I don't think he's got one of the top squads. He's had to deal with absolutely an awful disciplinary record this season, and he's just gone about his business, gone under the radar, not changed his formations, his tactics too much. He just plugged away, picked up victories, and guess what? He's now 6th position, 3-point gap there, 3 games to go. And do you mean I wouldn't say written off at the start of the season because I would be fancied to be up there. So yeah, I've got nothing but respect for the job he's done this season.
I think sometimes when you
Evening to
combine
Phil was
like
joining us in the chat, Mister. Go on,
a
mate.
a squad that isn't mega strong, but it's full of guys that the manager likes and knows. Maybe it's easier to cope with losing a few of them because you're bringing in what seemingly look like average guys for average guys. It's not like if you lose an absolute worldie out your team for a red or an injury, you can't replace them. If you lose a 7, 8 out of 10 guy, you can perhaps replace him a bit easier with someone else in your squad. So I mean, maybe that goes in his favour. But then again, you've got to actually take your hat off him for doing that.
Hmm. Indeed, indeed. Quick look at a couple of the other results. Obviously, big headline score for East Coast away at Astor. Nicholas and Elka finding form, 13 in 22, getting a 10 as well. Absolutely huge. Ariel Ortega, fantastic. Any of the other ones which kind of took your eye as a kind of an interesting result?
Yeah, I mean, Haggis, after a little bit of a wobble, gone away to the form team in the league just about and got it back on track again. One of
Deservedly
those
so as well.
games. Sorry, mate.
Deservedly so as well with the
Yeah, I mean, I love an away performance where everyone gets 8s and 7s, and there's no standout one guy who's gone and done it for you. Their man of the match gets an 8. You know, the keeper's done all right. It's just been pretty. It's just been really good across the board. If you take away Scholes, who's actually had a really good season for them anyway.
yeah.
And sometimes Scholes is for an AMC FC, his defensive attributes are really good, and sometimes he might not contribute goals and assists, but sometimes he's a good one to have in the team.
Keeps things ticking over.
Mm.
Good evening to a couple of us in the chat. The one and only Wolfie is in the chat. Evening, Andrew. Evening, Mr. Megahorse. Again, I think I'm saying that. And evening to Mr. Potato Mourinho. looking at the table tonight, I'm just going to look at the kind of the permutations of what's going on. Now, tell me if you see anything different to how I do it. I think Haggis and Vikings are there in the 6, and it's probably a battle between them two and maybe Boost Town over the last 3 games about who joins you in the top 2. I know you won't say this, but I think that 6-point gap probably is enough for you to finish top of the league. And then just kind of looking at these kind of 5 teams, which I include myself on the edge of there. East Coast Gazelles, they've got the cushion, but interesting, they play Dragons and Tortuga Celtics tonight. So it's Tortuga at home to East Coast. It is Dragons traveling to Gazelles. And I'm in a really, really interesting situation. Obviously, I'm at home to Astor, and given kind of how they performed last week, I'm really hoping that we can get over the line there. But I'm in a really, really strange situation of kind of wanting Dragons and Tortuga to actually stay above me, because it brings the teams above them back into it. Interesting.
Absolutely, yeah, and it would make for a hell of a last couple of weeks if he's all bunched up even further. I mean, Gazelles, they're at home, which is great. East Coast had a great win away to Astor last time out. I mean, no disrespect to Astor, but you know they've got a much tougher game tonight away from home at Celtics. And yeah, I mean, you know, you're going to be expecting to pick up the 3, I guess. You know, so yeah, on the face of it, it looks like it could get bunched. Yeah, great when
for me, I've been 3 games last. Right, I've got Dragons on the last day, and I'm hoping that means something for both us and Dragons. And you mean, but that means for me that means I've got to get the win tonight, and I've got to get something, preferably the 3 away at you, which is by which by no stretch of the imagination isn't easily done.
You're better off playing us at the Furnace, that's for sure. I think we're better away from home this season than we are at home.
Indeed, so indeed. Those are tonight's fixtures. Grow up to, so I don't know what he's talking about here. Where do I play Vikings against him? Right, no idea. Right, I think we're pretty much ready to go. Nice 12 people in the chat. Jens is in there now. Is anywhere? I think I want to keep those games with permutations, Tortuga and what do you call it, and Gazelles. I want to keep those 2 relatively towards the end. Because of things. So I'm kind of happy to go anywhere else. So if you want to take your pick, mate, and I mean, if you wanted to, you could even. I mean, I think should we kind of look at the Scots could go early. We could get Bostock White Rose out there. That's their 2 teams.
I would have got Bostock. I can't say Bostock. I always want to say Bostock. I'll get them out of the way, in all honesty, because I'm normally a let it roll kind of guy. But yeah, if we are picking and choosing, we go for that second game, don't we?
Indeed. It's not much of a headline, is it? And no offense to either of the teams there, but having kind of a game like that, and I think maybe an easy way to say it now is Horstock Swanley. I think is what we're calling them nowadays.
Definitely.
Tosswat. Haha, the title and all. I'm just reading things in the chat. I don't know if you have it open. I think for the first time since Dan's involvement at Swanley, we've got a new tactic. I think this is it's been sent in by Dan, so I'm thinking it's one of his specials. It's something we don't see very often in the Super League, which is always encouraged. What do you think of this?
Well, they're in the position where they can have a little play about, aren't they, and see if they can learn something for the start of next season, because the season's probably done. So there's a couple of guys in there that they might want to have a bit of a look at. I mean, they've still got to try and bed Simkoviak in, who was a great signing. I know he's a bit of a favourite at Dan's. He hasn't probably really got going yet. And they've still got to figure out a way of getting them to absolute worldies up front, firing. So maybe by sacrificing an extra DMC and bringing another midfielder in, they can maybe do that. Because yeah, I mean, Crespo 1 in 7's it's not good enough, is it?
So according to Tato, this is 262 MMJ Wibwob formation, but without the Wibwob. Tato would know all about these things. And I completely agree. And I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was kind of loading Bostock in. He does have two world-class strikers, and I can think the only team in the league this season who's consistently made two strikers work is Haggis, and they play with three DMCs. So it's kind of
Yeah.
it's an interesting one.
And in fairness to Haggis as well, their strikers aren't exactly what not exactly the reputation of Stanley's two strikers. They're more like team players, journeymen, and obviously you've got Amoroso, who's FLC rather than a striker. So yeah.
Mm. Right, White Rose, who the nearly men, I would say, of the last 7 games. I think they probably played some of their best football of the season in those last 7 games, but have come out without a victory and some quite heavy defeats. After basically the one shimmering light, it was the Dragons' performance 8 weeks ago. He's rolled the dice again with another out of the league signing, Santino Carantas. Is this the one you were aware of?
Yeah, I mean, you see him around and about, but he's certainly not been in the Super League before. So, I mean, I don't know, taking a punt on an 18-year-old, even if he goes and bangs a couple in, he's not going to be starting for him next season, is he? So, I don't know, it's a strange one for me.
Yeah, but this conversation with Mr. Grixty in regards to Haim Revivo, who we brought in from out the league as a kind of a stopgap, and he wants to just let him have a try, But I mean, he's not going to be a starter ever, so why are we doing that?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one for me when he's got players like Sabusi Ozuna, Arnold Brugink obviously proven in the Super League, who are not getting on the bench, and he's got big players in Fabio Liverani. I know you love Liverani, Ian, don't you? I think you love
No,
Liverani. It
no,
might be
no,
Hodgie who loves Liverani.
I wouldn't give him house room, mate.
All right, I've got that mixed up. It might be Hodgie loves Liverani and John Terry kind of thing, not getting involved. But he's still got a strong 11, so he should be much further up the league than what he is at the moment. Let's kick this one off then. Caranta comes in at number 33. I'm not sure if I've seen Steve so far, but evening, Steve, you are about. Any predictions on this one, mate?
Well, I mean, you can't really back White Rose because they always seem to be ahead in things and not actually get the win over the line. So I'll go for a home win. Both those strikers bagging.
Both of them bagging. Let's see if that happens. It'd be interesting if they do. And we kick it off. Simiawak with an early chance for Bostock. Stanley, Pence and Raoul involved for White Rose. I mean, Oliver Kahn's been fantastic this season, been a kind of a diamond in the rough for Bostock. Simiawak again involved. I know you mentioned pre-game that you like him. That's a yellow card for him there, though. And Emilian Penza, who couldn't get firing at Vikings, has got one on 33 minutes here for White Rose, and we get to half time. And that's his fourth in 11 appearances from Penza. Not a bad return. We can have a quick look at the match stats, and it's been a very, very quiet first half. Oliver Kahn, after me singing his praises a little bit there, has let his only shot on target into the back of the net. Evening, Steve. Evening, Hopkins. What a legend. Two legends there in the chat. I'll go to Steve first to get him up on screen. No issues with fitness. A couple of sixes in there, no fives. Let's see if Steve wants to do anything there. Caranta's not done much in that first half.
No, criticised a little bit for the Candelar deal, but because he let a couple of decent players go for him, but he's actually been fantastic from Ashley since he come in. And I guess you've got to go by that mantra that you can only put so many guys in your team. So sometimes a 2-for-1, a 3-for-1, or whatever it ends up being. Sometimes it's a deal worth making.
I'm not a fan of them, but I think that's my kind of chair head on me, and not always the case, but I would say I've said this a few times that 85-90% of the time, the team which gets the two players, I think, comes out on the wrong side of the deal.
Yeah.
because they lose a starter for anyone else in the league, and they probably get 2 squad players. Which anyway, that's my chair kind of.
Yeah, it just kind of depends where you are with your squad, doesn't it? You know, if you've got a terrible squad or
Indeed.
terrible 11, you might need a couple of decent players coming in. But yeah, I know I take your point.
Indeed. With both managers are going to 60. A bit dull here, says Mr. Megahorse. I tend to agree, but White Rose have got the goal. David Prutton and Marcelino Carioca gets a goal on his debut at 57 minutes, which means me tempted to pause it, but I won't, because Hernan Crespo is just going to put one in the back of the net after a drop from Abiati, and it looks like it might be same old story for White Rose. A bit of a turnaround in 15 minutes there. Ian.
Yeah, I feel for him. I've been there. It's like, you know, you're in every match, and like I know you called him the Neely man, but like when you're very, very Neely in every game, you're just nowhere near, are you?
Yeah, and it must be so frustrating as well. It must be, and I think he says a lot. Is when he had his success, when he's got his star, he did it by kind of pricking what he was going to do before the season, and then really sticking with it as much as he could throughout the season. Now, that only works if what you pick at the start of the season works. If you get me. So you mean you're not going to do that if you lose three of your first 4.
Yeah,
What's Rock
Mills
saying here?
enjoying the Lone Ranger role there and DM and all. Flying
Yeah,
future.
always get high ratings for a single DM. I think whether they play well or whether they benefit the team or not. I'm going over to Steve there so we can have a quick look before I do the substitutions. It looks like Simeoic's coming off. He's on a yellow card for Bostock. Simeoic coming off for Jafar. Swap with Marcelino, please. Marcelino's going central. Done. Okay. And then we go back to White Rose, who I think would you twitch here?
Yeah, I would probably bring the young American off and maybe give Kennedy a crack. He's done bits before. He can contribute in this league, no problem. And he's certainly, for me, he's a better option than Caranta.
I would wholeheartedly agree.
I might be tempted to get Veron forward and involved and bring Kennedy back.
Kennedy Petkov is the substitution. Milan Petkov coming off on a 6. Swap with Veron and put an arrow on Kennedy, which I'm assuming is that, Steve. You can just confirm that one, mate.
Oh, he knows his league history, does Steve? That's the old Thiago Hull's Kennedy arrow, isn't it? He absolutely flew.
It is actually. Oh, what a callback that is, Ian. Fantastic. Yeah, Diaxo, yeah. Right, that's what he's going for. It's been all Bostock since half time. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can get some more goals. 3 goals in the first game, mate. It's amazing. Caranta stays on because they've been giving him shit, and Goran Jorovic has picked up an injury on 70 minutes. Mm-hmm. David Prutton or Owen Hargreaves going back and Zanoni going into midfield, do you think?
Gotta be Prutton on it.
I think I would do Prutton. I'm just going to wait for Danny. He'll just tell me it'd be Hargreaves or Prutton.
Unless he was one at the back, sticks.
I think he might have done that. He might have done that if he wasn't winning, but I think with him winning, I think he'll.
Just would have been a bit of a dead rubber, is all, didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's not a huge Robbie Keane fan, so I don't see him as an option.
Yeah.
Still waiting for that Montella goal. Then I might finally get a prediction right this season.
Is it one of those? I don't think there's been a prediction league this season, but one of those I'd have been probably at the bottom of it if there was.
I just called nothing right on comms ever.
Come on, Dan. Come on, Dan.
Yep
has left. Prutton right. Yep has left. Prutton right. Keane on. So it is Robbie Keane, mate. Putting him and he's going into that central CM role, Marcianello to the right of it. Okay, I'm pretty happy that's what he means. And we continue. It's not a red card, so there's no option for White Rose. Kaladza has an effort. Jens saying Montella would look beautiful in a Vikings kit. Oh, and that is the 74th minute, and Robbie Keane has got a goal off the bench. Where do you rank Vincenzo Montella in terms of top strikers on the game? You reckon he's in the top 5 in terms of return?
Yeah, top 3. Yeah, I think if I didn't have Sigalko or I was willing to do a Sigalko trade for a striker plus someone, he'd be one I'd look at. Top 3. And Penza would be the other, probably.
Yeah, get that completely. And Penza, I mean, he's done it repeated times in Super League. Maybe not to the standard this time, but he's done it repeatedly.
Messed around.
Yeah, and that one's finished 3-1. Bostock Stanley, probably good value for the victory, and it's just back to the drawing board again for Steve, which is unfortunate. Interesting that the new tactic seems to work, especially second half after a very poor first half. Quick look on the stats of both teams, and yeah, no one under a 7 is what you like to see in it as a manager.
Yeah, and I think what we talked about earlier, I mean, every time you put a team out, it's an opportunity to learn something. And I think Horse and Swan will have learned plenty tonight. I think White Rose probably haven't really learned an awful lot from their team going forward.
Yeah, get you completely. Let's have a wander to. I know it's. I think we should go to Badgers because I think it's a game with a lot riding on it. But do you mean it's not involved in that 6th to 7th kind of area? So I think it's a big game. Let's do that. And I know that Tato and Jens are both here in the chat.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
So, I will just before we talk through Booster and Badgers. Have you seen the transfer rules? I'm not too sure you'll have seen them because you moved yourself from one of the chats.
Yeah, I've seen them, mate. Yeah, I've seen them. I think you put it in the no reply.
Do they make?
I've seen it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Do they make sense? Everyone, are you happy with them? They kind of anything that you would suggest? Or?
I will. I mean, I'll assess where we are transfer wise at the end of the season, mate. I'm sure you know that I've got my opinions on various rules and regulations. I'm happy to abide by all of them, but yeah, I'll cut my cloth accordingly when I see where we line up. Loving that striker sub on the bench. Fantastic.
Oh, I just did that for a little bit of fun there, Louis Duca. the video that Duggan did of me and Swan and everyone wondering what the hell was going on when he just started talking. I thought was absolute genius. One of my top Super League moments.
Absolutely love Steve's quality.
He's a legend. I will click him at the end, Steve. I did put them on there though. Yeah, Badgers they're sitting pretty, mate. I mean, they're not going to finish 10th this season, that's for sure. 39 points, a win tonight, and they are in the playoffs. Absolutely no doubt about that. Shevchenko at AMC, something that you'd go with?
Yeah. You know me, I'm not averse to putting a striker in at AMC, so I have no problem putting a forward in there. Some of them work, some of them don't. I've purposely left Saviola on the bench or played him up front this season. I think he's only made one appearance in that position, but I think some players can do it, some players can't at this level. I mean, I do like a big name, so he'd probably be up top for me, in all honesty. But you can't argue with what Tato's done this season. He's knuckled down this season, hasn't he? And he's learned a lot over the past couple of seasons. He's really put what he's learned into effect, and he's had a fantastic transfer window, and he's properly knuckled down.
Yeah, what you will say, it's been born of a lot of hard-fought, close games. And this is by no disrespect. I mean, Tato, I think it's a good sign, but goal difference of 12, only scored 20 goals, but has won 11 games. So, I mean, the little bit of quick maths on there, that means that at least 10 of those games have only been won by one goal, which is interesting. I mean, that's probably some bastardized maths. That's probably completely wrong, but anyway, that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I mean, over the course
the point being, it's been tight, and we should give some credit to Walter Samuel and Kamuna, who's not one not one of my go-tos.
No, but I think I mean Kamuna is featured less and less as they've got more consistent and climb more up the table. I think Sol Campbell was an essential signing.
I completely agree. That was completely wrong, but I take your point, Ryan. That means they're consistently winning by 2 and getting beat by 2.
Yeah, I think what would concern me about Tato's numbers is that for a team who's only scored 20, I'd like to be conceding a lot less than 18.
Yeah, but as we mentioned on the last show, 18 would be a record for 26 games for the least goals conceded.
Yeah, of course it would, but he's still only got a goal difference of +2.
Okay, and then Red Vikings, another team who up until their transfer window this season were calling for a redraft. Now he's really happy with his squad. Apart from that game against Haggis last time out, where we're absolutely flying. Jens has done wonders, hasn't he?
Absolute wonders. I think the one that maybe goes under the radar is he's kind of solved his left back issue. He was never particularly happy down the left with what Bart Goer and he had Overmars off me, and then who else did he try there? They weren't particularly successful either. But he's kind of nailed down that left back role. He's got a more balanced team, and then obviously the obvious names that he's sorted out in the window as well. And the other impressive thing about them as well is that they stacked the midfield over the transfer window, and they let the front three, who seemed a bit average on paper, go and bang goals in for them and go and create stuff for them. And that was that was the issue. Can they do that? And they have done. So going forward, if Mido, Del Piero, and Tony can do it in the playoffs, then great chance.
Completely agree. You got a prediction for this one, mate?
I can't see past the home win, in all honesty. I go 1-0 home win.
And question, should it happen, a bit of a hypothetical coming your way, mate, who would you rather play in the final?
You know what I'm going to say, mate. I don't care.
But if you were pushed, mate, if you were pushed.
What, out of who? Out of these two?
Yeah, if one of them turned up.
Well, given my record of games, then I'd probably rather take Badgers on.
Fair enough. This game's gone pretty quiet. Both teams involved with a lot of text. I don't feel like there's been many shots on target, though. I think like Roberto getting one in there, and I was going to say that there's been quite a lot of possession, but yeah, as expected, not many shots on target. Vikings having slightly the better of it.
I don't feel like they've done that much, do they?
No, a lot of free kicks for the Badgers. And then I'm not going to see any action zones. I'm going to quickly kick on Tato's there because I know he likes to have see his players and think about it. Right there, 7s and 6s, everyone's on above 90, even though conditions are myth. And then I'm going to leave it now for a second on the Vikings. Slightly the better of the first half, in.
Slightly better in terms of that shots on target and everything, but the Boothtown players seem to be averaging slightly better.
Agreed.
I get the feeling, a better feeling about the home team. In all honesty, I mean Valharan coming in is working wonders, isn't he? Who was he in for, Valharan?
Oh, he got him from me. I just
No,
had to get rid of.
He hasn't. Who's he starting instead of tonight?
Oh, who's he starting instead of? Klomper's injured.
Klomper, that was it. Yeah. So I mean,
suspended. Suspended.
So far, so good for the sub centre back. I mean, it always worries me bringing in sub centre backs, especially in games like this. You know, we'll see with my team tonight. You know, it's not ideal. But you know, if they come in and don't have a mayor, you're happy. Oof.
And just as we went to the 60-minute substitution, Luca Toni has broken the deadlock, right, with basically the next shot on target. That's a big goal. If I was Tate, I wouldn't be too worried. I think he's pretty comfortable in his playoff spot. But that click on 60 minutes is a every fucking game, says Tato. Oh, Badgers have now got a. Do you mean from what would have been maybe a roll or a? They know they've got to go for it a little bit, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, I'd still be tempted to not do too much. I look at that
Gosh.
bench, and I think it's probably only Rayad capable of really doing something out of the ordinary. He's brought Guardiola in and hasn't really. He's been more cover than anything, hasn't he? So I don't know. Maybe you bring Rayad on for Sosa and swap him with Shevchenko, perhaps.
Yeah, the other one is just do a Viduka for Sosa straight shot, or he could do Rayad and Viduka for Sosa Shevchenko. I think I'd keep Shevchenko on regardless.
I would, yeah. And I'm never a massive Viduka up front on his own kind of fan either.
Interesting. A quick look at Yen. I think he's got the lead. Everyone's relatively fit. I don't think I'd be twitching. Would you?
No. And again, like you've got solid back, solid midfield, and you just look for those guys up front to do something, and they have done. So maybe now it's just hold on to what you've got. I mean, Carr has defensive qualities, but is an attacking defensive player, if you will. You're not going to bring on Olisa Davey, I wouldn't have thought. And you have no reason. I mean, sorry for Sergino, maybe, but why would you? I don't see that bench giving us loads of options. Valharan increasing his performance.
So in terms of badges, we've got Lopez off of Viduka, put him up top with Sosa, Chevrolet AMC with an arrow, extend the arrows on Roberto, is that on another notch? That's fine. And just confirm, I'm going to assume that's enough, but just Roberto, because you've not mentioned Emerson there. So I'm going to click yes, and I'm going to expect something from Jens, but nothing's there from Jens. Come. Perfect, mate. Emma can stay as is. Right, Jens, just waiting on you, pal. I hope you weren't waiting for Tato. That's poor form if you are.
Listen, it's never been. Yeah, I've always been one like let other people worry about me. Let's not worry about them. So I never really pay attention to what people are doing. These changes, do your own thing, don't you?
Yeah, he's just changing a little bit. He's been a little bit more defenses. Drop Vieira left to DSC, DMC, centralised Mendia. Right, cool. I think clicking on the 60 minutes card a footload of goals, by the way. Interested to see Swanee do some stats on it. So I think I think your suggestion that if you click on 58, it means the goal on 60.
Right. You know me. I think clicking anytime is bad on anything ever.
I'm on a home save. I do this all the time.
Yeah. You do what you do on these games at all. You're not as bad as you used to be, I must admit.
I don't click on players anymore now because I get told off by you mainly. This is it's dwindled on. 86, 87 minutes gone. We're not seeing too many on-goal attempts. It's only looking like it's Vikings the more likely. Serginho Vieira tries to beat Ambrosini. Got a free kick here from Mendieta. Here's Del Piero. And that's kind of gone. Last chance saloon for the Badgers. Ambrosini holds up the ball. Oh,
I mean, that triangle of DMCs is hard to break down, isn't it?
And he
well, he has done.
He has done. Is that a free kick from Shevchenko in the last minute? Here's Mido going down. Shevchenko tricked him. Last chance again. No, there we are. We've got a last-minute reply from Shevchenko. I think it was a free kick. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Shevchenko went past Desai, Mendieta, Tony in that order.
Wow.
So he's going backwards. And then struck the ball.
While I was saying how hard that DMC triangle were hard to break down, he skips past a lot of them and just slots one in. I told you I don't get anything right on comms.
looking at that though, and Badgers did come into it in the last half an hour, probably not too far away from a fair result. A couple extra on target from Vikings, but nothing too major. And looking for any standout performances. Mike Duff on a yellow getting a 6, and Cannavaro on a yellow getting a 6. Probably won't worry Jens too much, but will probably frustrate him. Probably should have seen that one out. Walter Samuel, as ever, absolutely fantastic for the Badgers, and his big money man, his big name, Shevchenko, getting one when he needed to, really, to get the point for him.
Yeah, and that's one thing that, like I say, the penny seemed to drop for Tato, didn't it? Sometimes you need big names, you need big players to get you anywhere.
Let's go north of the border to our friends in Scotland, second place in the league. Had a slight wobble, but they've won the last two, and have been fantastic for most of the season. The kind of all the drama midweek has been whether Michael Stewart is being retrained as an attacking midfielder, and I can confirm that he is being retrained as an attacking midfielder. But yeah, nothing. I mean, I don't. Do you know how we would tell if he's been successfully retrained? Because the DM would always take precedence, wouldn't it, over the AM in how they are described.
I'm more at a loss as to think why you'd bother. I mean, he's got. I mean, any of us
Stats are fantastic.
Any of us old enough to remember. I mean, I know he does have decent attacking stats, but I mean, he has had some fantastic performances at DMC in the Super League before, notably for Parmouth and Icos. He was absolutely quality, and I think if you're playing 3 DMCs every single game, you need 5 good ones, and I think he's a good one. So for me,
Right.
leave it alone.
Right. Just so you know, I'm conscious I might have missed something. So, in the 12 minutes it took for Jens to put his drop Vieira to left of Desai, then after Tato had messaged something long about clicking, which couldn't be asked reading, Jens then went with Sorin for Serginho. That's it, thanks.
Right,
So
okay.
I apologise to Jens. He's saying that Sorin would have blocked that run from Shevchenko.
Well, he was not.
Tato's saying you should have subbed Serginho there, in my opinion. Just to take the piss. I'm sorry, but be quicker. Be quicker, that's all I'm saying. This is how Haggis line up tonight. Do you mean it's exactly the same as last time out when they beat Vikings 2-0 away from home. This should be enough.
Yeah, on form should be enough. They're playing against a real sort of a team that are really hard to understand what's happened to him this season, and another squad not full of superstars, but just like it's the system that's king for Haggis, and the players have to fit into the system. Hodgie has kind of chopped and changed all season with loads of great players and not had a system. And after going a little bit off the rails for a few weeks of playing all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff, he's now doing this, which is like the least Hodgie formation you're ever going to see because it's so conformist.
He started the season like this. Then because it didn't work straight away, he twitched, and now he's gone back to it. Hodgie's. And I understand why he has this point of view. It's a kind of, he thinks it's all predefined, and I mean the league knows who's going to finish where before the season starts. But
Well,
I'm not too sure I
know.
buy
We all
into
have
too
to
much
see
of that.
results in testing, don't we? You know, I don't see that's being why are we here if that's the case.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. So I suppose that you're expecting. I like the casuals away kit, though. I will say that.
Yeah, nice.
Hopkins suggesting we should get the Pizarro to the Dragons. You said you're expecting a home win here.
Yeah, you think so, wouldn't you? I mean, Walton casuals have got to come up with a decent result at some point. Away to Haggis probably isn't the time you'd expect them to do it, though.
No, I think I saw a 2-footed challenge somewhere go unpunished, but we continue. And there is a goal from Pablo Aimar, just as you finished saying that there, mate. Commentators kiss of death. Yusuf Hersey gets a second. Wow, I did not expect this either. They've been, after that, I saw Hersey can't miss there as well. Casuals, whatever he's done seems to have clicked. I mean, and I'll say whatever he did, he sent me this tactic file at 8:40. Oh, sorry, like 9 o'clock.
Alan
Wow,
Partridge.
Haggis, that's probably the worst. Say that again, mate.
What was that?
What did you say then? Something about Alan Partridge? You said something about Alan
No,
Partridge.
did he submit an Alan Partridge GIF alongside his submission? Just a picture of Alan Partridge doing that while he was submitting his team, maybe.
Oh yeah, he loves that, doesn't he? Not. I'll go to Haggis first because I know they're here. Not too sure. I've seen what you call it, Haji, in the chat. Yeah, he'd the kind of news coming out of Casuals is that Haji's manager in game was dismissed this week. And obviously, so we re-added a manager, and that means he had to resubmit his 24. He resubmitted his 24, but then didn't pick a team. And then it looks, I mean, he submitted. Then I chased him on it just as I was setting up in my panicked rush at 9 o'clock, and he got it in fair play, and sent a tactic, which looks very, very similar, but not too sure if there's any changes. Click over to casual so we can have a brief look if he's about. Cliver on an 85 and a 7. Dede underperforming on a 6. I've got to see some some substitutions from Mr. Rocks. Medina is coming on for Mendes, which is that. Chuck him into MC. Figo for Camps. Yep. He hasn't said done. He usually says done after the last one or please after the last one. All I've done is got sacks, which further strengthens my point, which Ryan has misquoted. I mean, Hodgie, I always misquote you, mate. Don't get down in the dumps about it. Basically, if you type in here, mate, what your point is, I will what do you call it? I will broadcast it to the world, mate. Better yet, I'll send you the link. You come and broadcast your point to the world, pal. Join us on stream. You're more than welcome.
Come on, Hodgie, come on down.
But in the meantime, whether you're coming on or not, you let me know if you're not making any subs. I'm conscious I'm sat on Haggis. 2-0 up, cruising away at Haggis. Yusuf Hersey playing really good.
Loads of sixes everywhere, isn't there? It doesn't feel like that kind of a game for Walton, and it don't feel like that. I mean, Haggis, you know, I can sort of expect it, but this might change things. Which one of those two drops back?
I think I'd just centralise Van der Vaart. I would do. Yeah. I think everything else is working. I'm just kind of when you're chatting away, you kind of miss stuff in the chat.
2-0 up.
Tato Mourinho. I will read it to myself and then tell everybody I can't be asked repeating it. Do you get that? What it means? I put it on screen, Ian.
I've not had the rest of the chat, so I don't really know what that means in isolation, to be honest. I can't multitask. I don't really have the chat on when I'm on comms.
No worries. No
worries. That's a bold move.
All Van der Vaart centralised is what Hadji. And because it's a red card, Rocks can do something, and he wants to move Santos alongside Medina. I'm assuming like that. Jesus, Rocks, come on, man. What do you want me to do with these arrows, pal?
Like I know you guys don't mind it because you're all seasoned pros at running these shows, but it would drive me mad if getting changes in instalments. I'd always love to see it in one message.
I don't mind it as much as long as the instalments are very close together.
Mm.
And that's a free kick, I think, from Paul Scholes in 51 minutes. And we've had another red card. Fucking hell. This time for Martin Lewison. And after an absolutely incredible first half, the wheels are well and truly coming off for Casuals. Oh, God. This is harsh.
Got to be Cambiasso time on it, some shape or form. He's a man who's
Yeah.
got a lot of tackles in this season.
Soroczynski could sit in at defence. Cambiasso in with Soroczynski is. Would you take Van der Vaart off or would you take Hersey off?
Van der Vaart's, yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive Van der Vaart fan, but I'd be tempted to put someone alongside him if I could. I mean, one of probably for me, Hersey off, for Cambiasso, Soroczynski back, crikey.
We've got one at the back, fuck it, from Hodgie. Absolute pleasure, mate. Why not? Why not? Rocks. I mean, you made changes 4 minutes ago, mate. Do you want to make any more changes after you've just scored?
Got the 60 coming up as well, and he probably can afford 6 minutes of.
Mate, I wouldn't have the 60. I wouldn't have any of these changes. It's just fucking. I'd have your half time and crack on. But there we are.
Me too. But people like it, don't they? So.
They do like it. Right, and here we are at 64 minutes. Quick look at casuals first. Clive on 82, the only potential fitness worry. Dede, Soroczynski, Sylvester on a 6, everyone else looking good. So Hodgie let us know. We'll go to Haggis. Klimovic on a 6. Santos, he's the only one, I think, apart from Vesterveld. The conditions all look pretty solid. Hodgie's going to roll. Thank you, mate. I'm just going to rill.
I mean, what do you do there apart from maybe longer arrows on your wide men for Haggis? It's attacking his go, isn't it?
He's working. He's just scored. He's got 2 opponents sent off. I wouldn't be changing it. But this is Rocks. This is he moves in mysterious ways with these players. Sometimes he could do anything here. Here he is making some substitutions. Salas is coming on for Klim. Vich is on a 6 and swap with Amoroso. Salas for right. I think that's going to be it. Yeah.
Are we going to see no more red cards for either side? That's.
Yeah, your chat's working, Rocks. Thank you very much, mate. It did come through. The top one came through after Hodgie's, mate. So they're all they all came through together, but must have been a slight delay. I'm going to continue. And 67 minutes gone. It looks like it's Haggis pound on the pressure now. 70 minutes go. Figo. Giggs hits the side net and goes to 78 minutes though. Salas again has an effort. 83 minutes. I'm going to slow this down because there's a bit riding on it. If you're Haggis, they want to be pushing for get that top 2 spot confirmed. But they're not seen to be doing the business at the minute, even against 9 men. Cheers of we only need 9 men coming from the casuals away fans. 89 minutes gone. Medina picks up the ball. Cross to Amoroso is in absolutely fantastic form. Who gives it to Salas, who blasts it over. And this is 94th minute. Last chance saloon. Soroczynski hits it forward to Aymar. And that's the final whistle.
Wow.
And that is a huge victory in the Haggis sphere of influence. Maybe not too much in the casual, but I mean, Hodgie probably needed that as a bit of a confidence boost. I think that the tactic worked really well, and he's shown a bit of resilience there that he can kind of grind that victory out, even with 9 men.
New manager bounce.
Bit of new manager bounce always welcome, isn't it? Any kind of bounce is good.
Didn't really make a dent in them, did they?
Perfect. It's Wolf here.
9 minutes away, Matt, and just couldn't get anything going that last 25 minutes. Offered nothing.
Yeah. Offered nothing. That's interesting. So Vikings at that point now have just gone above Haggis into second. That is interesting, isn't it? It is interesting. It's always interesting, isn't it?
Oh, it's always something going on. Love it.
Always something going on.
Right, isn't it?
Right.
I am just going to go for a wee while you talk the next game up, though, if you don't mind.
No worries. I would actually. I don't know what this next game's going to be. We're going to do this one, I think. I'm going to talk about PPP. PPP. This is a tactic sent in from Alfred under duress. Obviously, he's got a few things going on. I think everyone in the Super League Towers sends their love to Alfie. To Alfie and his family. Hope everything is well, and yeah, hope you're all right. Mehmet Scholl is the kind of standout name in my eye. Obviously now playing his third game and on an average of 8. Van Nistelrooy getting his place back in the starting lineup. Last time out, they were beaten by Fulchester 2-0. It weren't terrible, though. Never really looked like scoring. And it took, like I said, till the second half of Fulchester to kind of break the door down. I think they've got a strong lineup, and I think what Alf's doing there, what the influence he's having on Rob and making him a little bit more sensible is working. I think it's a nice duo. Welcome back to Wolfie. And then right on cue, we're going to go to Northern Burn, mate. I know you're probably used to seeing this at the end of the show, but given the kind of permutations, I hope you don't mind being a little bit earlier.
No, that's fine. I took a long time to go to the toilet, really, didn't I? I realised when I was halfway there and you shouted out it was PPP, and I thought, oh, got real.
Oh, you're all right. You could have gone to the toilet. So what you did have this week, probably when you looked at your pack, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? You had a bit of a minefield in terms of issues in defence. So a suspension for Paolo Montero, Ayala out for 10 days, Hippier out for 1 day, it is at the moment, and Yen Jeremy's, who usually sits in front of that line, out for a few days. So maybe a little bit of a head scratcher. But you kind of gone into the reserves, and who's come in from the reserves now? I can't remember who it was.
Martin Jetu.
Martin Jetu, who, in fairness, I had a look at his stats earlier, and doesn't look half bad, does he?
He looks all right. I mean, he's had a little. I think he's had one appearance, hasn't he, for me so far? Is he, or is he not? Is he,
No, this is his debut.
Cup game, wasn't it? He played. Did he play a cup game for me? Definitely.
Must have done, yeah. Let's have a quick look. He played the cup game. Yes, he did. Got a 7 in the cup game against 08 Dragons.
Yeah, so he has sort of had a little bit of a sniff, but yeah, basically apart from Z Elias, anybody who's made a tackle for me this season is on the treatment table. So yeah, if ever there's a time to play against me, today's it. Plus, obviously, Jetu played in the reserves, didn't he? About a day before or 2 days before, so he's not 100%.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you're pretty happy with 95% fitness, considering that. I think I'd be happy to roll the dice with Jetu there.
I think so, yeah. Well, I have to. Then I have nothing else.
Not going to go one at the back from the start. So it's PPP versus non-Burn. Ian's assumed his position. Tato pointing out Jetu's acceleration 5 and pace of 14. Here we go. Let's kick this off. And it looks like it's a heavy black start, and we've an early injury for PPP. Marcus Babbel going off injured. Looking at positioning, Ronnie Jonsson's the obvious one. I think. I don't know what I'd do here, actually. I think I'd go do this and then take Babbel off for Cristiano Doni. So I'm going to do that in expectation that Rob's going to jump back in the chat and tell me a twat and put 3 up top. Or Alfie might just turn up here, but I'm going to give them a good 30 seconds because I'm not too sure. So yeah.
Who's back in charge now?
So I believe that Rob was in the chat earlier. I'm just scrolling up to the top of the chat, and he was one of the first names to say hello. So he is about. So I think that he's still designated Alf in control because Alf submitted the tactic.
Right.
So this is Alf's tactic and lineup, but obviously Alf's got some family business going on. So I think if anyone's here in the chat tonight, it's Rob. If not, if we don't get a response in the next couple of minutes, this is what I'm going to go with because I think it probably makes the most sense. other one you could potentially put is John Arnorisa there, but I'm not a fan of him in the game. It shouldn't really be my opinion, but you know what I mean. You've got to go with something, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're on 46, and Jens is suggesting that if you were on 48 before this game week, you would have already secured first. I think that if you don't lose tonight, just in my little maths in the back of my head, I think potentially even if you have lost, then you've confirmed first. No, you need a point, I think. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, we're going with it. Right, we're going to continue this game, mate, because otherwise we're going to be here all night. Our girl gets a goal early doors, probably an unexpected goal scorer on 8 minutes for Northern Burn. Kuhl coming forward, and Van Bronckhorst and Donny involved. Finnan having an effort. Conrad on the right-hand side for Northern Burn. Oh, and we've got a red card, mate, which I'm licking my lips off because I'm playing you next, but yeah, not something that you'll like to see, pal.
No, I might have to be appealing that one. Okay. Pekovic off. No. Kuhl into where Ferguson's just come from. Pekovic central, keep the arrow.
Happy?
That's
well,
it.
Not happy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that'll do.
Right, we roll. Again, I can't see anything from either. And I don't. It's not really my place to start making tactical changes at this point for PPP, so I'm not going to do that. I thought that was the second goal for Petkovic, but it's been ruled offside. And Carlos drifts one in. It still looks like it's very Northern Burn heavy, or it did do until Mehmet Scholl got the equaliser. What a foray into the first team he's having at the moment. It's his 1-1 on 38 minutes. If Ian comes a little bit. Very good, Dan. Very good, Dan. I like that one. You see Dan's message here. Can see because of where we're stood on the stream, mate. That because you're stood up and your head's cut off the camera, and if I do this,
right.
looks like you've got a really big head. Anyway, a little bit of lightheartedness there in a very serious display. Red card obviously impacting things. It looked like it was all black and grey before the red card. PPP have come into it, 4 shots on target compared to the 2. Yeah, anything that you want to have? I'll put this on screen. I don't know who for. But let's have a look at Northern Burn. Anything you want to do, mate?
No. Leave as is, please.
No, leave as is. And PPP conditions are good. No one's on a 5. I think we're going to do the same for PPP and continue. And we're getting, because obviously it's your body and my head, we're getting called Mr. 4 times. I just put my hand on my chin, don't I? With that hand. That works. Here we go. Northern Burn again involved. Cmsl coming forward. Roberto Carlos strikes a free kick. We're to 59 minutes and we get to 61. Mr. Ritz Wolfie saying in the chat, game guess. I tend to agree. A lot of text going either way. A bit too many 6s for your liking, though, I imagine.
Yeah. Stick though.
Pardon me?
Yeah, as is, please.
As is, no problem at all. No 5s, no injury issues for PPP. We roll. 71 minutes gone. Salihamovic, 81 minutes gone. We'll slow this down. Not too much is happening, but it's his alcohol contract on the volley, hits the post. We get into the last 6 or 7 minutes. Scholl coming forward into the area. Van Nistelrooy, top corner, grazes the crossbar. Great football from PPP. Obviously, sending their love to Alf there in terms of play. 88 minutes gone. Cole, contra wide on the right. Cmsl hits a volley from out. He hit the post and went wide. Last chance saloon for PPP. Van Nistelrooy. Smith bends one in. Whoa! And that is a sickener. 94 minutes gone. Alan Smith. Wow. And yeah, sorry, Ian, mate. It's not what you want when you're on comms. Then, Jesus, that is an absolute. Yeah, 94 minutes gone. I think that was the goal. Long range effort from Alan Smith, bent towards goal, and then literally the last thing that was done before the final whistle was blown. Potentially, you could say, on terms of shots on target, they deserved it. Few efforts off goal from Cmsl there at the end.
Yeah,
Say something.
we were all right, but obviously you're up against it. I mean, they're already beaten us at our spot this season, so they've
Oh,
sort
of
of got
course, I
that.
forgot that. Oh, you've got
And
to deal with that now, haven't you? You've got
so
to deal
going
with Rob
away,
talking about that for next
going away to them and playing with 10 men, yeah. I mean, if it had happened in the 83rd minute, something like that, you wouldn't be that bothered. But the 95th minute is a bit of a wounder. But yeah, it's not the end of the world, is it?
It's not the end of the world. I'd say because of the other results tonight. I think you mean. I think you had a 6-point gap at the start of the night. Now it's a 5-point gap with 2 games to go. I mean, I think you were pretty safe before the start of tonight. You could have wrapped it up tonight, but let's be honest, it's
We
going
have
to happen
history,
sooner rather than later.
I have thrown away the. I mean, what do you want to call it? It's like the league. The league finishing first. I've thrown the league away twice in the past. In the last 2 games,
Right.
so I have done it. I have got history doing that, so I know how it feels. But hopefully we're all right.
Okay.
We do seem to stumble last 2 or 3. Any iteration, any team.
Okay. Martin's just sent me a DM. I'm good. I'll double check. I don't know if Martin's playing on me, but Martin just sent me something. And if he is listening, I will check it afterwards. But I don't think so. Is my answer. So it's Fulchester versus Astor next. Obviously, so I just want to read this out to you, and if you can just help us out a little bit, if you don't mind. It's basically his instructions. So 5s and unders to be subbed at half time. 6s discretionary at 60. Keep the shape. But who to sub on and where plus movement and arrows discretionary also. So I'm just going to put that in the chat. Copy that, and then I'll put that on
What is that from
screen.
Martin?
No, this is from Mike regarding.
Oh right, sorry.
Regarding Asta, and obviously, obviously discretionary because he's against me. So does that make sense to you?
What? So he wants me to?
So yeah, it would generally be the comms. So no, exactly. That's why I'm asking you if you don't mind doing that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
If not, I'll let. Yeah, cool. That's fine. I knew you would. I'll just like everything's going slow.
Right, no, Mike's managed.
Right, and
Mike's
this is how Asta line up. This is how Asta line up. Batistuta and Cole, Perez. Yeah, I've got a fear about Batistuta. We did a transfer not too long ago. He's not scored yet for them. I know he's going to score tonight. But yeah, he's embraced the arrows last few games. Yeah, he got the victory against PPP, which was long overdue and well deserved, but an absolute disaster last time out against East Coast. Yeah, let's see how he gets on tonight. Fulchester, myself and Grix had a bit of a chat. Alex has been dropped. We kept Chiesa in the starting lineup. A slight knock for Riquelme last time out, and Southgate's picked something up in training. So Stam and Gamara, we swapped around. Yeah, again, I mean, I'm not kind of coming back into the Super League, hoping not to kind of play this, but results have dictated that I've had to kind of go to it. I'm hoping that I can kind of morph it into something else next season. But yeah, we're going to get to that point now in about 5 minutes where I go and get all nervous like you do. I think I'm just as bad, but I just have to keep talking throughout it.
It is. It's horrible, isn't it? But
Yeah.
you lads do a great job of being able to talk through your own matches. I couldn't do it.
Well, here we go. I just get pissed off if I don't win, which generally, invariably, apart from the first week I did comms, I've not won since then. Whilst when I've been hosting my own team.
Well, this is a measure in it. Home to a team that's just lost.
Yeah.
5-0.
6 minutes gone, and that's a bit of a relief there. The big man Vieri puts it in. Chiesa, Dyer coming forward, 6-yard box. Andrew Cole coming forward for Asta. Pires jinks forward, senses it. Asta coming into the game. Batistuta there. Batistuta again. Nakata out jumps the goalkeeper, and there's Big Shaka. Takes it 2-0. 20 minutes gone. I must admit, I'm a bit of relief there. And Chiesa makes it 3 on 39 minutes. Getting sexual here.
It's nice.
It's nice, yeah. Yeah, pretty comfortable. 8 shots target forward to 1 none. I'll quickly look at Fulchester, and yeah, I'm gonna roll because why wouldn't I? So the instruction, I'll put it back on screen again. Asta 5s and unders to be subbed at half time. 6s discretionary at 60. Keep the shape, but who to sub on and where plus movement and arrows is at discretion also.
Well, your 6s aren't discretionary because you've got 3 guys on 5s, so they all come off.
Yep.
So all right. Wow. Well, Van Bommel off for Echiog and put him centre back. Is this? Yeah.
I thought you said. Let's just double check that. I mean,
he can't say keep shape, didn't he? But where you can.
Maybe if he can't keep the shape,
I mean,
if he can't keep the shape, do we?
Well,
what takes precedent?
You can't, can you? Because you can't take your 3 5s off without putting someone in the wrong position. I would have pushed. I would admit.
I'm just going to shut up now. I'm going to basically. You've seen the instructions. You're definitely more qualified than anyone else here to interpret them.
Okay. Right.
So do you want to do the Van Bommel off for Echiog? Or
I want to do the Van Bommel for Echiog and put him centre back.
Yep.
I want to do Panucci and Bomber on arrows. I want Gianni Cheddar central. Batistuta off for Shearer. Locatelli off for Fiore. No, for Fiore, mate. And swap with Pires.
Swap with Pires.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Best interpretation we can do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. It's not really cricket that for someone to kind of mess around with someone else's team, but given that Mike's unavailable, I think it's as good as we can. Right, and we will continue to 60. And there is Shagger with the hat trick. Thank you very much, Jesus. P8 Gaser with the power driver. Yeah, Neda's with a 10 as well from left wing. What am I going to do? I feel like I should sacrifice people who are on yellow cards. So Edgar Davids is on. He's the yellow card away from a suspension. I can't risk that.
Yeah, I'll leave him on.
He's going to come off for. He's going to come off for Janino. Simeone. Simeone is also coming off for Alex. And yeah, obviously not taking the others off. Just double check condition. Nedved, an interesting one. Fuck it, yeah, let's do that. Game's gone, hasn't it? So Nedved can come off. He's on 75 and a 10 for CC.
Perfect day at the office for you there, isn't it?
I know you can't make any subs, but do you want to move anyone around? No.
Yeah, let's put those fullbacks up to midfield. Little arrows again. Yeah.
My heart rate's still going.
Even at 4-0,
well, I don't think I'm going to get done, but it's still because you're watching your own team. And there's a goal, Andrew Cole. Something you've done has worked. 6-yard box, low drive, Cisse. They've come into it a bit, haven't they?
By someone that went unpunished.
Yeah. Their one shot target is Sebastian Frey. I love him sometimes, and other times I hate him. I mean, 2 shots, 1 on target from Master. That one is a goal from Andy Cole. 6 on target from Fulchester means a 4 victory. Hat trick from Vieri and another goal from Chiesa. 2 and 2 from them. Yeah, I mean, I can't. I definitely wasn't expecting it, but I mean, I can't say I've got any arguments at all. Really, really happy with how that's played out. Especially Shagger getting a hat trick and a 10. That's exactly what I need. Stamp getting a 7. The fans are having a go at Stamp are underperforming. Quick look at Mike. Yeah, the 3-5s you brought off. Everyone else has kind of done all right, really, haven't they? Really, you can't really complain too much. Georgie Bones, the only one else on a 6, everyone else on a 7. But obviously the game was killed off relatively early.
Yeah, the lads on the bench did all right, but the game was gone. But I mean, in fairness to you, I think you've put those shots on target or those shots in previous games and just not got the goals, have you? So this time the ball's actually gone in the back of the net. So
yeah, and I'm thinking that'll move Clivert definitely back into the top 3 in the league in terms of goals scored. Not Clivert, sorry, Vieri. I think maybe just behind Amoroso and Cizalco.
Yeah, Cizalco hasn't scored for ages. Not many.
They say can't. Tato banging the drum for Casillas, who's conceded the second fewest in the league after Jens mentioned that Frey on a home save is probably the best in the league, but has been consistently a little bit poor in the Super League. Duggan saying big night to Fulchester, currently 2 and have turned a -2 goal difference into a +2-1. Good spot. Absolute boner on the Fulchester, the manager. I am happy with that because I just didn't expect it. You never do. Right, we are at Tortuga versus East Coast. We're going to stick at this one. We're going to look at Tortuga first because they're the home side. He has gone with this one. Rossini and Owen starting up top, and he's completely transformed his season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He had a good window, didn't he? And he did some good deals. I think it's possibly left this run of great form a little bit too late, given how poor his start to the season was. But it's not over yet for him. He can still have a say in things. Yeah, he's found goals, which obviously was a big problem. And now he's he's putting guys on the bench who've come on and scored, and they can't get the team next week. So I mean, he's got options. That's all you can ask for, and he's got tacklers in the team as well.
Indeed, I'm going to send a bit of love because apparently he's unavailable tonight, mate. Because he's in agony, so he won't be in the chat. He's asked for Torres on at 60 for the lowest performing member of the front 3. So I think that's fairly straightforward in terms of that. We don't say that's not it's lowest performer of the front 3 on for off for Totti at 60 minutes. Good luck and get well soon, Greavesy, as well, mate. Lots of love. And then the team which were having a wobble, and it looks like these last 3, they've won 3 of the last 4 and put that wobble kind of firmly behind them, and much to my pain. And this is East Coast Cosmos, who just look like they're really hitting a bit of form as we move into playoff period.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love Dimble, I'm a big Celtics fan, as everyone knows, and Grimsby beat Barrow last night, so I hope Cosmos get smashed. Yeah.
Right, is that how you kind of judge it then? If Barrow are getting beaten by the team, you'll go against it.
Yeah, it gives you a lot
I
of options when you follow Barrow.
I do like the Celtics concept that Greasy's gone for as well. I think it's good, and I like that.
Gave me for a lot of grief in the at the start, gay pirates and all that, but he's stuck by it. He's got a good brand. He's got a good. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Tortuga bit, but I'm a big fan of the Celtics bit. And we've got an early goal for the Celtics, and this one is from Michael Owen, 6 minutes in. Lots of text early doors, lots and lots of text. And it looks like it's dark green, who's making the kind of the waves forward. Owen got the early goal. Tortuga are making other chances though, but here comes Ortega for East Coast. Rui Costa, Volodenkov involved. 0-0 over this from what Andrew Allen says 2 seconds before the goal went in. Rossini offside. Let's have a quick look at how that's played out. And it's Tortuga on top. Tortuga on top, 4 shots on target to the 1. Which, I mean, it's bowled me over a little bit. That I did not expect that, but given Tortuga's form, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Nearly a full house there. It looks like in the text. I don't know if it tell me if I'm wrong there, but in the text it looked like East Coast had more of the ball than Tortuga did.
I felt like that. I felt like the text was reflected in the stats there. In all honesty,
Oh right.
I did think it was reasonably Celtics heavy. Maybe I got that wrong with the different bits of green going on. But yeah, it seemed like the home side were pretty strong. In fact, I thought there was a second on the way.
I thought early doors, but I thought that second half of the first half, they maybe came back into it. I'm leaving this on screen, obviously, so Dimble can give us a look. Unless there's any kind of injuries, which there aren't, I'm going to roll for until 60 for Tortuga. And we have got some changes for Dimble. Rui Costa to right AMC with no arrow. Leave arrow on Henry, centralise Vogel. I'm assuming that's right. Yeah, I don't think that can be misconstrued anyway, can
it? No, it looks right to me.
Cool. Hopkins saying strong half for Celtics. Yeah, and let's restart. Owen going again. Oh, and Ariel Ortega has seen red.
He's been huge, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to click on him because his stats are absolutely unreal. I mean, pace off the ball 20, dribbling 20, passing 19. I mean, he's probably the best Ariel Ortega I've ever seen. Looks absolutely fantastic. And do you mean he's probably not, in terms of goals and assists, probably not got what I would have expected out of him? But yeah, he would definitely prefer him on the pitch. I'm going to give Dimble a few minutes. So obviously, going to have to try and think of something here. It's very tough when you lose a wide player, I think, to a red card that you have to kind of rejig your team around.
I mean, Agahauer's obviously is an option, isn't he?
And go one DMC, would you?
I think you've probably got to, haven't you? I think the being 1 goal down kind of makes your decision for you, doesn't it?
I tend to agree. I think I'd do that. I think I'd go with I don't think I'd probably take off Milevsky.
I mean, whether he's got a preference as to which winger he wants on which side, or whether he wants to make fewer changes and just get Agahauer on the right, I don't know.
All right, so what we're doing? So Milevsky off Agahauer, Milevsky, Vogel DMC, Agahauer right mid, Rui MC, Henry central, no arrow. That's how I read that. So Dimble, can you just give me a quick confirmation before I go on? I'm just conscious there's a lot riding on these games, so I don't want any fuck-ups on my parts.
Again, looks like you've interpreted that how I would have done.
Brilliant. Right, that was an interesting sound. What have you opened there, Ian?
I've opened I can't pronounce it. Buna Habin single malt. That was actually the if anyone knows the band Dinosaur Jr., that would have been the title opening sound of the title track of second album.
Right. I don't know if you caught that then. Sorry to kind of, I was listening to Boonahab and Dinosaurs.
All right,
Yeah, something like that. Rossini got this.
Strikers firing, isn't he? Look at that, 8
Yeah.
9s. Crikey.
Yeah, this is fantastic from Tortuga. We've got the instruction, so we're going to stick with the instruction. So Torres comes on for Denilson. They've got to go with that. And then obviously we leave it to Dimble what he wants to do, but obviously he's going to be less scratching his head here because this is not an East Coast performance at the moment, and Tortuga are really just turning the screw a little bit.
I think he'd have expected more, wouldn't he, given the last result? But
and the importance of the game as well. I always worry about those important game stats. Whether these players can do it when it matters.
he's got big time players. I mean, he's got top 2 goalkeeper. I
know it.
I love Henry there where he's got him, as you know. Rui Costa, won it with me last year. He's got big time players, so it is a surprise. But it's not over yet.
Again, I asked if my interpretation is correct. Rustikov and Mackay to AMC with Arrow 1 at the back.
Yeah.
Arrow on Henry as well is a second message that's come through.
I mean, leaves him
Thanks as
exposed,
well.
You've
got to roll the dice, haven't you? 2-0 down. Right. Let's do this. It looks like it's Anelka making a bit of a inroads there. Agahoa a header. Taibbi saving well. Here's Torres coming forward, and there's Torres with the goal.
Wow.
And Tortuga now 3-0 up, and they must be fancying themselves here to kind of make that playoff push. I mean, the unexpected one. They were written off countless times earlier on in the season. I don't know why I've slowed this down. It's all over here. 8 shots on target. 3 of them have been goals.
It's come so far behind to get it done, haven't they? It's have they left it too late? Is there still games left? It's such a good run they've been on.
I would say that after this, I won't be surprised if it's in their own hands at the end of tonight. But yeah, Henry, can he get a consolation? Help that goal difference for East Coast. Owen gets a yellow card. Free kick for Henry. Ball goes upfield, and that's a final whistle. And 11 shots on target out of 12. And basically Duggan saying the Dragons win was massive for Celtics. It kind of brought them back into it, and I'd say that Celtics win there on screen and Duggan is massive for Dragons because in terms of Fulchester and Dragons, I think it makes East Coast reachable. Welling Greaves and Lucky Dimble. Obviously, I don't think. Yeah, looking at a quick look at the stats here, and not a good night for East Coast, but yeah, Toldo having the best of a bad performance. But I'd say in contrast, you've got to give credit to Tortuga where it's due because a few yellow cards in there, but they were absolutely fantastic, weren't they?
Well, you're not going to get many performances over the course of a season where you get 4 9s. So you've got to enjoy it when it comes along, haven't you? And like we said at the start of the game, I mean, his transfer dealings, he was being derided for leaving himself as Trezeguet is the only option, and now he's got 3 different guys, and they've all scored. So it shows the turnaround's right there, isn't it? And it's backed up by, I know he's Lauren Robert.
Lauren Robert at 9 and an assist.
Appreciation tweet, didn't he? Like last few days, the turnaround that he's been involved in. You can't. You've got to take your hat off to him. He's made some good decisions. He's kept his cool when things weren't going that well. He's trusted it, and he's reaping the rewards.
And our co-main event of the evening is Gazelles versus Dragons. We've got Dragons on screen, so we'll kind of stick with that at the moment. I'd say they're almost full strength Dragons. Suspension for Roy Keane, and I mean Nesta is in the reserves out injured, as is Zidane. But Zidane hasn't been playing all season, and Nesta's been crap all season. So it's an interesting one for the Dragons about what they do. Jens saying monster performance for Morocco One Call. Duggan saying humble pie on Lauren Robert for all of us. In fairness. Yes, and here we are with the Dragons. They haven't had that 10-game winning streak that they had in last season, but they have got better as the season's gone on, haven't they?
Well, I mean, you're going to with that quality of squad, but then again, I mean, they're missing Roy Keane, so like you're talking everyone's available bar one. But I mean, how often this season has everyone been available bar one? And I mean, bar two, because as bad as Nesta might have been for Nesta, he's still a big miss. Any team, if you give anyone the choice of Biscan, Hagen, Nesta, regardless of how many 5s, 6s Nesta's had, you're going to put him in there, aren't you? So he's still a miss. But then you look at the guys they've got on the pitch, there should be enough to get the job done. It's a great squad, but I've said it before about the Dragons, and I'll say it again. I mean, every team needs a top striker, and I still don't think Constantino is a top 4, top 5 striker in this league. He just doesn't. He hasn't got the job done for them, has he? He's less than a goal every 2 games.
It's a fair point. And playing in a 1, that's where you need the goals to come from. I would say that, I mean, Duggan's pointed out in the chat, and it's in discussing how few games NDI has played, and the Dragons' turn in form has kind of coincided with his return from injury. 8.18 in terms of match ratings, average, and 2 man of the match performances. He used to always knock out these 8s and 9s for Vikings back in the day, but it usually coincided with a Vikings defeat. So it's interesting to see if it is the Ndiaye effect which has changed them. And yeah, I completely agree that back line and that front line are the 2 bits. The midfield looks rock solid. Gazelle's absolutely fantastic last time out, as you're no doubt well aware. 3-0 away. And yeah, and then they beat Fulchester before that, and they just look good, don't they? And they've changed it, which I don't understand. That's what I don't get at all. They've not changed it from last time out, but they've changed it from the team that beat me, definitely. So, no, I might be talking about
They went narrow. They got narrow about 4 or 5 games ago, but
yeah, I'm talking about my ass.
Consistent since. There seems to be I mean, obviously, it's second half of this season. It feels like everyone's gone to this, whatever you want to call it, formation, and certain, I mean, it does bring consistency. This setup, and if your instructions are half decent, then you've got a chance. And obviously, he's brought a few players in. Totti has been good for him. You don't need great ratings off Totti. You just need Totti in the team, and he'll do a great job for you. He seems to
sound like Andreas there. That's what Andreas used to say.
He does, and I mean, Totti, like for me, was like in this one of the years I won it was like he was 6-7, 6-7, 6-7. He got to a final and it was 9 man of the match because he's a big time Charlie, isn't he? Adilson seems to have had a little bit of a renaissance for him as well. He's coming back into it because I mean he can blow hot and cold, but he's in a rich vein of form. Another guy I quite like. So, yeah, I mean, it's like a team versus a load of superstars.
Here's what I will say, and I think it kind of it says on that point now. Phil Neville, Didier Agat, Patrick Anderson, Christian Wand, Luigi Di Biagio wouldn't look out of place in a reserve team in this league, right? And that's not having a go at Dan. I think it's fantastic that he's got them in the first team playing well consistently,
Well,
and he's in the top 6.
Dan's well aware. I mean, we're all well aware. I've tried my damned hardest to get Lee Young Pure off Dragons over the course of the last season and a half, to no avail. He just won't let me have him for anybody. And Dan's got him, and he still puts Phil Neville ahead because, as he says, his team just plays better with Phil Neville in the team. So he knows his team well enough, and he knows not to rock the boat by bringing in someone who on paper is better than someone else, because that guy who's worse on paper just happens to make his team tick. So it's a good move, and he's I think he's had Kivu in for most of the season, then Kivu gets injured and he can't get back in the team because he's playing well. He seems to stick with the guys who play well, regardless of their names.
I think I do the opposite, which is probably where I kind of try and put the names back in, regardless of how well they're playing.
But you try and go and sign the names. Dan's not bothered about signing the names so much. Apart from Totti seems to be not particularly a Dan signing for me, but one or two of those guys, it's fair enough, isn't it? You need a few.
Yeah, I remember Rock saying a few weeks ago they signed Ayala. Did they sign? Maybe Ayala, I think so. And they said it's a bit of a, wasn't really a haggis signing. It was a bit of a more of a vanity signing. They just wanted a little bit of something to show off that we've got Ayala, kind of thing, a little bit of value. Anyway, Gazelles versus Dragons. What do you think, mate?
Apart from the fact that Schillaci looks like Billy Mitchell off EastEnders, I think I'm going to say it's a 1-0 home win.
1-0 home win. A gap coming forward after Jens giving him some praise in the chat there. 10 minutes gone though. Constantino doing something and blasted it over. Yellow card early on. Handed out by Craig Daunt. Constantino an effort there. Hagen coming forward. Ronaldinho. Here comes Neville. Chips it right. And there's a goal for Dario Hussein and the Gazelles. Ronaldinho coming forward. And they just keep rolling. That Gazelles train just keeps on rolling, doesn't it? Ronaldinho for Reyes, and that is an unexpected goal scorer just on the half time, which will give Duggan and Jamie and Wooder some kind of relief. And it's been a very, very tight first half, which is probably quite right to be level. I've seen Dan in the chat. I've seen Martin about as well. I know Martin's messaged me. So I'll go to Gazelles first. Everyone seemed relatively fit, and Idilson, who you were singing praise to pre-game, seems to be having a bit of a stinker. Apart from that, you wouldn't change too much, would you?
I'm not sure I'd change anything because, I mean, the goal, I wouldn't say it came against a run of play because it was a fairly even game. But, I mean, if it was 44 minutes per half, you go in at half-time leading, don't you? So, yeah. Probably leave as is for me.
I won't click on him, but I imagine on Steven Gerrard, you've got potential thigh injury. He's gone down from 100% to 81. I think Jens is saying, as is right, it says Duggan, so we'll roll to 60. Nervousness in the chat. And there's Big Landon coming off for an injury. Kufor, the obvious choice, or you could potentially put DiBiagio in the Tudor or Leon Pio at DMC and put Totti up to AMC. I don't know. I'm just kind of giving options here. It's not what you want to see, is it?
It's not. I mean, for me, like for like is the obvious one. Why make?
That's what he's doing as well. Yeah, and what I will say, Dan, I appreciate you being so prompt, mate. That's not exactly what I wanted to do. Gazelles. So it is Donovan off Q4. Dan's right in there. He knows what he's going to do. He's probably got it all written down. Fair play to the lad. Right, and we roll to 60. It's Neville beating Bishkan. Bishkan and Hagen just doesn't seem like it's a Super League defence, in my opinion. I do like Bishkan. Here comes Ronaldinho. Constantino desired a classic, I think was what I read. I always say I think when it comes to Dragons because I can't really read it. Let's click on Dragon stats. Gerrard now down to 75% fitness. 6s for Hagen and Julio Arca. Everyone else on 7s and 8s. We goes over to Gazelles, and it's still Adilson, the only one on a 6. Everyone seems fitting off. Phil Neville, all the praise well deserved. He's sitting on a 9.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
3
right
tackles.
on him.
Mm-hmm.
Fair play to him.
And Dan, thank you very much, Dan. Rolling again. Derek McInnes for Stephen Gerrard. We roll for everything else. Wow. I think that Dragon squad is paper thin. He's so good. He's got so many good players, but Derek McInnes is your first reserve. Surely there's something wrong there.
I think, yeah, I mean, obviously Roy Keane's unavailable as well, isn't he? So you've got to add that into the mix.
I know there's 20 minutes left, or no, 15 minutes left, but I'm going to slow this down. There's so much riding on this game. I'm trying to work out in my head whether a draw is good for me. It's an interesting one. In my head of the game, I needed Dragons to get a win or get something.
Yeah.
No, I'm not too sure actually. I'm thinking that because
draws are generally all right if you're in amongst it, and if you know.
I'll still be behind Gazelles definitely. But that was the case anyway. I think there'll be 2 points in front of me after a draw, and we've got another injury. This one for Dario, who's saying no, he is going to have to change things around a little bit. 40% as well. It might be a end of the season jobby, that one.
Got to be pure on it.
Up top, would you put Pio or would you put Totti up top? He's played Totti up there before, hasn't he?
Yeah, Zanny. I mean, I'd be tempted just to put Pio in there and Totti up top. Maybe swap Pio and Seedorf.
I understand that.
Gives you that maybe defensive attribute.
Security.
Since you, to maybe not lose the game. I mean, a draw is not the end of the world for Gazelles either, is it? They're still in their own hands, isn't it, if they draw this?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. I think it'd still be in... I think it was in... Even if... In my head, I remember this before game, I think even if Coast and Gazelles lost, it's still both in their hands. Right, so Tudor is coming on for Dario Hussein. Totti up top. Seedorf to Totti's. Tudor to Seedorf's. Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty much what we said, apart from I went pure rather than Tudor, but yeah, it's about right.
We're still on fast with 6 minutes of normal time to go. Arca, slide tackle, Ronaldinho, Constantino, Reyes. Sucker punch coming for someone here, says Dan. Reyes advancing with the ball. Constantino, Bowyer hard and low, inches wide. It looks like it's going to fizzle out, and that it has. Final whistle there. Oh, and Dragons very wasteful. Just 3 shots on target from 10. 3 shots on target at 4 for Gazelles. It's quite an enjoyable game to read out. No sucker punch came at the end. And yeah, we'll see how that kind of impacts things in a minute. But yeah, relatively solid performance for Gazelles. Just the Reyes goal, which came from a header from Ronaldinho. Dragons stats look pretty good, mate, don't they? Really?
Yeah, Dennis McCree's coming in and bossing the tackles and contributing as well.
Yeah,
a rating higher than Gerrard for his 31 minutes.
As Dimble just said. As Dimble has said, that it will be tight. I think, can we see the rest of the season's fixtures before I turn it off? Right, yes, of course we can. Right, we've clicked on both of them there. Thank you very much for all the teams tonight. The classifieds are as follows. Boothtown Badgers 1, the Vikings 1, Bostock Stanley 3, White Rose 1, Fulchester 4, Astra Athletic 1, Special Gazelles 1, the Dragons 1, Haggis Hunters 1, Walton Casuals 2, Pyongyang Pool Party 2, Northern Burn 1, Tortuga Celtics 3, East Coast 0. That's definitely, in my opinion, performance of the night there from Tortuga. Absolutely fantastic. Over that are Casuals, actually. 9 men getting the win away at Haggis.
Casuals for being the only away win of the night. That that ran it pretty close for me. A couple of Qs as well. Well done,
Yes,
lad.
couple of Qs. Congratulations to the Vikings and congratulations to Haggis, who will be joining Northern Burn in the playoffs for sure. That's big news. Yes, it's the Q for both of those teams. The team looking at that 1 point away are Boostown Badgers. Yeah, and then it gets awfully tight. So obviously we knew that there weren't going to be any kind of changes in positions here in terms of who was in the playoffs because of the gap, but the gap is now smaller. So East Coast on 36 with a goal difference of +6. Gazelles on 36 with a goal difference of +2. Tortuga on 34 with a goal difference of +3. Fulchester on 34 with a goal difference of +1. And Dragons on 33 with a goal difference of +6. Yes, and then we get to the teams who you would suggest now, yeah, but Baron and Miracle, they're out of it. So Bostock on 31, PPP 28, Casuals on 25, good win tonight, White Rose 19, and Asta currently in Wooden Spoon territory on 17. And just looking at Badgers are the only team left who've conceded less than 20 goals, so the only one still on for the conceded record. Fixtures. No, this is an interesting one. So I think this is something to do with the international call-ups, but Duggan did. I have no idea why. But yeah, the games are a day apart, which Fife will have to deal with, and he'll deal with like a what do you call it? He'll deal with like a trooper, I'm sure. So there's a week in between now and the games. Then on Sunday, so these will be the first 4 games. East Coast at home to Haggis, big game. Vikings at home to Bostock. Casuals, Badgers, and then White Rose versus Gazelles, which will mean that, do you mean Dragons, Fulchester, and Tortuga will know what East Coast and Gazelles have done before they go into their games. Tortuga travel to Asta. They'll be favourites there. No offence to Asta there, but the form that they're on, you'd expect a Tortuga victory. Dragons at home to PPP. PPP, what do you call it? They got the victory tonight. It's been up and down for them recently, kind of been resurgent a little bit since Alf came in, but a game which Duggan will 100% on paper be thinking he should be winning. A game which I don't expect and wouldn't expect to be winning is me travelling to you at Northern Burn. However, one thing that has given me a little bit of hope is you've lost 3 out of the last 4. And you mentioned earlier on in the show that you sometimes have an end of the season hiccup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, looking at your final game, that there's any kind of risk for your top spot, Ian.
Well, I don't know.
But
We got no
so
players left, and everyone's suspended or injured, and we can't win a game.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
What I think I might do is put your cup final in on the 25th. So you might want to. I'm joking, by the way. Here, don't worry. So
Okay,
in a temptation that you would play some reserves against me.
Cup final. I'm going for the cup final, mate. I'm going for. I want the double.
Yeah. Yes. And then we go to the final day, which thankfully is another week later, and they're all on the same day. And as I just mentioned, Asta host Northern Burn, Boostown Badgers host East Coast. That's a tricky last day fixture. If East Coast haven't got the queue at that point, Bostock host Casuals, Fulchester Dragons could be an absolute slobber knocker. Gazelles against Vikings. It's a tough game for Gazelles if they need points hosting the Vikings. And the big one, I mean, this is the one. If you're Tortuga Celtics going to Haggis on the last day, needing points to get in the 6 would be. I mean, that would be. Haggis boys would be licking their lips at knocking Tortuga out. Well, Ian especially would be. And then PPP versus White Rose. Yeah, Tato saying he's going to drop out with 40 points and 0 goal difference to me. How could that happen? So let's say Badgers are on 40 now.
I don't think it's not possible, is it? It's not possible for Tato to drop out.
So they need to lose to Casuals and then lose at home to Coast, and
but you've got
that would mean if Tortuga Fulchester, Tortuga and Fulchester would need to, or at least one of them actually. Say Tortuga won both of their games, and Gazelles and East Coast won both of their games. Badgers would drop out, and Tortuga would go through. Yeah. Yeah. So it is possible. I don't think it will happen. I think Badgers will scrape through, and I don't think. I mean, we know what things into like winning the last two games on the spin might be a stretch for anyone, but I think for those in the chasing pack, even Dragons, because of their superior goal difference, one win can put them in it now, which makes it so much fun.
Yeah, it does.
So having a quick look at that in the chat. Sorry. So many points, says Jens, which I think, I don't know what that means really. Duggan saying full comms dropping on that last game of the season. Interesting, Nicky, that actually falls next Wednesday for Dimble's show. So interesting if we do that then, or if we, as in Steerco, may try and do it on a, I don't know. I think if Dimble wants to host it, then yeah, that's his prerogative. I'm just trying to think. It's 5 on Sunday. Yeah. Mr. Megahorse saying, can you check international squads and withdraw anyone currently in the 24s? So international squad is this. Marcelinho Carioca looks like he's in a 24. Ray Parler is in my 24, but he can be played because I'm not playing him in the first team. Willie Sagnol definitely is playing, but again, I don't think Steve will be too bothered. Yeah, I'll have a look at that, mate, after this show. I will do. And then customary, just to have a quick scan through. Badgers top of the form table, worrying about losing out. That's quite funny. Tortuga, as expected, absolutely rolling at the moment. Vikings have won 3 in the bounce, but have lost. Have only got 1 point of the last 2. Gazelles looking strong. Dragons looking strong. Cosmos looking strong. Fulchester turning it round after a bit of a shit run. Bottom down there, we've got White Rose and Astor. Haggis, they've lost 3 out of the last 5, interestingly. And Northern Burn have as well, which is interesting. The top 2 not firing on cylinders as we go into playoff territory.
That's worrying.
Badger's 7 without a loss and expecting that he's going to lose the last 2.
No, he's getting the job done, and even tonight, like that late one, just getting the job done.
The only thing that'll get him worried is if Walter Samuel breaks his leg in the next couple of days, which I really hope doesn't happen, because Casuals have now gone top of the so they get that trophy if they can keep that up. And then
we'd have no Reds.
Asani and DI, fantastic. Has now gone into the average rating because he's played half the games, I think. Until tonight, you say?
Well, we had 2 in the last 2 now.
Ian, hello?
We had nothing before then.
Right. Oh, and Anelka's still there for East Coast as well, yeah. So Vieri's leapfrogged Amoroso, but Anelka second place. Sorry about forgetting about Anelka early. He's been fantastic. Giselle still with some gap there, so it's an interesting one. And Penza as well. So he'll have 4 for White Rose and 6 for Vikings. Constantinu, who you've been giving a bit of shade to earlier, he's on 10 for the season. Not a bad return. And I was looking at player stats. Conceded means nothing. He's crap, by the way. Steve, you're still around. Abiati, get rid of him.
How does Abiati get in ahead of Pellizzoli?
I don't know. I released I basically sold him for like $1 million because I thought he's never going to play for Fulchester. I just didn't understand why he would be making appearances in the Super League.
Awful. Consistently the worst Super League keepers in every iteration.
Roberto Carlos and Barry Ferguson up there on this list. I remember Barry Ferguson once got 18 assists in the Super League season, which I think it might be a record.
Not been great this season, but low average ratings, low contributions, and he's obviously missing out. He won't be playing against you either unless the appeal is upheld.
Don't worry, I'll definitely appeal. You can complain about the ref as well if you want.
No, I don't want to appeal it. In all honesty, mate, don't appeal it. Just leave it. In fact, I'm always tempted to tell him he's been a naughty boy, but I'll just leave it.
No worries. Right. I've actually done 2 hours on a Wednesday night, which I apologise for. That's not what I wanted to do. Just because there was a little bit chatting at the start. It's been a pleasure having you on as always. Anything else you want to see, mate?
No, I would say I'm happy about it. It's not been the best night for me in terms of my team, but it's been some results that have gone my way. But it's just been a great night in general. I think of all the seasons that we've had, this is like bubbling up as nice as any. It's it really is shaping up nicely.
Yeah, I thought I generally was fearful going into tonight's show that that what do you call it? I was fearful going into tonight's show that it was going to be all wrapped up after tonight's show. Yeah, so the point for Dragons.
Yeah,
Ryan,
I mean,
Duggan wants to drop on for some reason.
Fifth to eighth, Dragons have still got a very good shout, but 5th to 8th is very, very tasty.
It is indeed. I'm just going to send a link to Duggan to see what Duggan wants. I don't know what. Dragons. The Dragons. I've just sent you a link in Twitter, Duggan. So if you want to join, you can do. Into the Dragons inbox on Twitter.
You must be quite happy with your momentum, though, that you gather in there, and the fact that you're actually converting your chances now, because that's what held you back a few weeks back, wasn't it? Not converting the chances. And
yeah, but I am happy that things clicked. I'm kicking myself really because I shouldn't have changed for. I know I won. I think I won the Haggis game, and but then I shouldn't have. I should have changed back to my normal tactic to get Gazelle's game. I think that would have given me a better chance. I'm also think that there's 2 or 3 games this season. I mean, I look at Bostock and East Coast where their goalkeepers fucking hammered me, and then the first Gazelles game and the Badgers game where we were absolutely shit, and we just, and it was me. It was on me then. I think I've made mistakes this season which would cost us probably 8-9 points, which would put me up next to Haggis and Vikings. But anyway, that is what that is.
We can all look at 8 or 9 points that we could have had that we haven't had. Even
Duggan, welcome to the show. Late. What have we got you? What have we got you here for, mate?
So I was just thinking out loud because I think what me, you, and Dimble probably want to avoid is one of us streaming game week 26 for obvious reasons. Yeah. I don't think we would do a good job by our own teams because it's an absolute head fuck, and also I don't think it's fair on the rest of the league that we're potentially kind of in control of the last game of the season kind of thing. So my suggestion would be to try and land it so that Fifey's doing game week 26. Now, I'm conscious that Fifey's Sunday shows is that would be him done for 2 weeks. So I suppose what I would say at the league is I'm happy to do game week 25 either tomorrow night if people can turn it round, or Saturday night if people can turn it round. So that Fifey's stream on Sunday is a neutral conclusion of game week 26. but I'll go with whatever the league thinks. But I certainly want to avoid streaming game week 26 myself. I know Dimble does, so I think it's brutal on him if it's next Wednesday and he streams game week 26. So just whatever the league wants.
What
Next
about? Yeah, is it? I do think it makes sense, but again, it's the same. Again, it's the same issue, really, isn't it? It's game week 20. It's yeah. I know what it's like, and game week 25 is just a prequel to game week 26, really. What about? I mean, I'm going to put it out in the chat here. What about Mr. Dan Megahorse if he fancies doing something?
Yeah, he might struggle with the little one, but you'd be offered, or asking Fifey to do, and it's a big ask for Fifey, but the other option is asking Fifey to do Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But that's it's a big ask from him. I suppose I'm up for whatever option avoids, because I know how you feel about it and I feel about it and Dimmel feels about it. The league probably don't know how we feel about street.
I mean, yeah, for me, and I think you've got the same thing. I think Bo Dimmel's got the same thing. Is that I'd rather there be as much scrutiny as possible on what we're doing. Therefore, if I've got something riding on it, right, then I'd rather not be hosting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think for the next two games, or definitely for the next game, I think game week 25 is number one, because it could be over after game week 25 and it might not matter.
Yeah.
But for potentially game week 25 and game week 26, it'd be beneficial not to be one of us three. And now, and then I'm looking at people who can host and
Rox a shout? Would Rox do it as a one-off?
If Rox fancies it, well, we can ask him. I can do it, just don't want to do it for enjoyment purposes. Nothing to do with impartial. Yeah, I think that we're fine with being impartial, Dimble. I don't think that's an issue. I just think that I can just see it. I mean, what someone sneaks into the playoffs and then all of a sudden there's question marks about shit because you only got into the playoffs on the last day, and guess what? You were hosting that show, and I just don't think it's fair on either of us to actually, if any of us do qualify, to have that potential question mark, because I know they'll come, because they've come in the past.
I think the thing is, it's like
that makes sense.
It's missing the response to a red sub. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of stuff. So you're playing against someone who's in the chase and you miss their chance to make a red card sub, or do you know what I mean? You don't put an arrow on and the comment comes 10 minutes later. It's like, I think we just want to avoid any issue with that. The other option is that we wait for Fifey to do across 2 weeks, and we say it's Sunday and Sunday, but it's 2 weeks apart. I know we'd all do it, but I think we'd kick ourselves if we didn't recognise that it's dodgy territory in terms of how badly it could go wrong, and didn't try to kind of mitigate that for the benefit of the league.
Well, I continue to say, walking in the room, Dan is potentially going to sort it out for us, and he's going to ask his wife if he could potentially host the next Wednesday show. Now, I mean, I don't know what else's weekends like, but I've got quite a busy weekend with Alton Towers, and I think on Friday I'm out for a beers on Saturday night, so with Macca, which means I won't be able to see my screen at 9:30. So it's really like not necessarily really wanting to do that if I've got something riding on it. So if we can do the Sunday night with Fifey normal show, and then if Dan could potentially cover Dimble next week, because he wants for Dimble, he wants to do it for enjoyment for Pingy, but I also think for the optics of the league, I think it looks good.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Dan, if that works, then yeah. Also, any other options? Rox, I think, is a good shout. Anyone else that would want to get involved doing that, then give it a shout as a bit of a one-off, and then when it gets to the playoffs. Probably me or Duggan, but potentially Dimble. At least one of me, Duggan, and Dimble, probably two, will be missing out on the playoffs. Therefore, it won't be an issue then, because it'll be non-playoff teams, playoff managers hosting. That was a lot of talk. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, and I was conscious I've just extended a nearly 2 hour well over. I love yous and leave yous. Well done, the lads on the queues, and look forward to game week 25. It's going to be about
that. Right, yeah, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Doug. Thank you very much, Ian. Absolute pleasure. I'm gonna end it there. Packs, I'll try and get out in the next 20 minutes. If not, you'll get them first thing in the morning. Thank you very much, everyone. Cheers, Ian.
Cheers, Ryan. Thanks, mate.
Ian's just rocking around there. It's chilled out. I shall see everyone in a bit.
A little bit. I didn't know whether I was back in a committee meeting or still on a broadcast.
We probably shouldn't have been, but I think sometimes when you get things about that, it's better sometimes to do it on the chat so people can understand your thought process. Because if you just kind of give a solution out to a problem and don't give out the full thinking behind it, people can think something weird is happening. I think
really most of the managers don't think about it. You've maybe got one or two who might flag something up. I think in general, and I think the red cards getting missed or the 60 minutes getting missed and that sort of stuff, that generally only is in when people are having a crack. It's not like nothing's intentional, is it? But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's tricky, and you might get to like week 26, and one of you lads might be out. Like week 26, everyone wins except Duggan. He can do week 26.
Oh, the start with the finish of it is on Sunday. If Fifey's hosting, if you beat me, which let's be honest, the odds will be. I mean, the bookie. I know we're still live, Dimble. It's fine, mate. I'm not saying anything I wouldn't want to say to anyone else in this chat, of which there are 5 people watching at this point. Is that the likelihood is that you're going to beat me, and 2 of Tortuga, Gazelles, and Coasts are going to win, and that means I'm out, and then I can probably host next Wednesday, and it won't be an issue. But I think whilst all 4 of us have got a chance, I think it's 3 of us have got a chance. I think it's probably better for the optics of the league if we avoid it. And Dan Megahorse, as always, is still watching. I mean, I could chat shit all night, and Dan Megahorse would watch.
I think like if I was like, maybe I'd feel if I was 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe I would feel different. I don't know.
But yeah. Do you mean But this is me. Who? You mean you was in the league when I kind of got my 2 stars, and Ian Campbell was in the league when I got my 2 stars, and he still calls it the Wib Wob era. So
it's hard to know with Ian whether it's a wind up or whether he means it.
Well, it's 100% a wind up, but let's avoid the angle for the wind up.
I think you're right. I mean, I think the other thing as well is Duggan's done such a good job recently of like putting a couple of extra shows on and whatnot. Is that like it's weird when you've got a night and Super League's not on, because we seem to have had like Super League nearly every night for bloody ages, and you sort of like you go 2 days without it and like you miss it, and like, well, he's come on there, and I've thought, yeah, brilliant, let's get it on. I'm happy with that. And then like, but I understand that you can't necessarily just keep rattling them off. And
I think I think Duggan would keep rattling them off. And there's also probably a little bit of selfishness in my kind of viewpoint as well, because I say selfishness is that when the games are live, I want to be in comms. Not on comms, but I want to be in the chat so I can make my changes.
Yeah.
And I know I don't know about tomorrow night. I probably could do tomorrow night, but that's a tough change around. But then for Friday night, we're going to Alton Towers during the day, and then the other couple will go on Towers over coming around here for a meal and some wine, which means that if I start watching Super League, it'll just be fucking piss take, and then I'm out on piss macca on Saturday. So do you mean?
Honestly, I'm a control freak. I like to watch every minute of every show. I like to be in control of my team at all times, unless I give like Savage the cup games and that. Like I had one where I was away seeing a mate a few weeks back, and I had Tato in charge, and I think he typed as is 3 times. and I watched it on a train journey the following morning, and that was just a bizarre feeling, not watching my team the next day. I can count on one hand in like 7 or 8 seasons that I've done that. So I totally get where you're coming from, Mike. It's not selfish. It's like it's what you want to do, isn't it? You know, right.
But then the second I can't make the second I can't make it, then Grixty's at the wheel, and
BV Grixie next week.
well, it'll be me v you, and then it'll probably be Grixty v Dragons. So Ray Parler will be in midfield, and Edgar David's a bit left wing back.
Wow. It's a shame we didn't get a little yellow card, isn't it, Edgar Davids tonight? Because like I'm going to be missing. You're like you've got like everyone to pick from, and they're all fresh. Even when I like these last 6 weeks.
The second I start clicking continue, it'll be Patrick Vieira's out for a week with a fucking thigh injury picked up in training.
Picked up in training. That's what I keep getting, like toe injuries picked up in training and stuff all the time. I don't know what they're doing in training, my lads. Just leave each other alone. Like, you know, just sit and have a cup of tea instead. Instead of kicking lumps out of each other.
Right. I think we're just chatting now, and we've actually gone down to 4 viewers, so we're boring someone.
No worries, mate.
Right.
Well,
pleasure as always.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
See you later, everyone. Cheers.
See you later.